The Jacksonville Zoo announced a hire last week, their wildlife wanderer. And I'm joined now by the person who I'm pretty sure dreamed up the role for himself, Curtis Dvorak.
Yes, absolutely. That this had to be worked into the budget because it's something that back in our days working together at First Coast News with our good friend Jeff Renfro, I did a ton of zoo stories, and I actually pitched this to them 7 years ago. I pitched this to the zoo 7 years ago that they need a spokesman, and that I would love to do that someday.
And now it's yours.
Now it's mine, yeah, and it's awesome.
What is a wildlife wanderer?
Wildlife Wanderer for the Jacksonville Zoo and Gardens is basically I will be going around town and going on shows like this and trying to promote the zoo and show people why I fell in love with the zoo and why I think they should too. I've been lucky enough in 27 years here in town to work for and with the zoo in every iteration of my career. As the mascot for the Jaguars, I went there a ton for appearances. And on TV, I did a ton of news stories there. And in the last handful of years, I've been hosting some of their charity events and fundraisers. And the one thing that I have found, and you've probably heard this as well, I've never met anybody here in town that goes to the zoo and goes, "No, that was terrible." But I have met way too many people who I run into who are like, "I've never been," or "I haven't been in 10, 15 years." It's the number one tourist destination on the First Coast, yet so many of our locals don't go. And so I want to show people why you need to go, why you should go, and there's so many reasons to go.
So for listeners who don't know Curtis Dvorak, like I know Curtis Dvorak, he was the first Jaguars mascot for 17 years.
19 years. I created that character back in 1996, Jacksonville, and I performed as him for 19 years until First Coast News came along and offered me a great opportunity.
And recount for us some of the crazy stuff that you did.
Oh, jumping off the light towers, pissing off the, I don't know if we can say that, but angering the NFL. Up on Park Avenue, making them actually having to change the game op rules for mascots because the owners did not like my brand of comedy based towards their team.
And you were good at riling up the crowd and getting them going.
I love look. I've had one goal my whole life is to make people smile. I've always been an entertainer, and I've had one career goal. Every career or every job I've ever had, my mindset is make 12-year-old me super stoked. And I've been able to do that. A life-size stuffed animal for 20 plus years. I did it in college for 2 years. You know, you tell a 12-year-old, you get to go be a life-size stuffed animal and make a living out of that. I got to do that. Go be on TV. I got to do that. Go be in commercials, which I do with shark coatings and still do that. But I've gotten to do, I try to do stuff that, again, like the old, if you love what you do, you don't feel like you're working. I try to do stuff that I just have fun and I get to make people smile.
And I do remember, you mentioned earlier Jeff Renfro. He was a photographer that we shared when
Yes.
we worked at the TV station. A great guy, amazing photographer. But you guys got to have some great adventures together, and a lot of them did take place at the zoo.
Yeah. So they, Rob Manning, he came along. What do you want to cover? Because we have people like yourself who are covering the serious stuff here in town, and those type stories. And I was like, I'm an entertainer, so I'm going to cover fun stuff. So I'll go to the zoo. So we start going to the zoo. And I show up there with a camera, and the zoo's like, "Yeah, come on in." So I got to be part of a Kinley Rose, baby tiger's first wellness check at like 5-6 days old. I got to hold a towel over a giraffe's head who was 3 days old and the same height as me, at 5'10". I'm holding the towel over his head so that they could do his first wellness check. I got to go behind the scenes with the penguins and help clean up those areas, which it's one of those dirty job type things.
Less fun.
Less fun. But I got to do so many things. I got to swim in the Manatee Critical Care Center. I was the first human to swim in that before they had animals. There was no manatees in it, so don't call in thinking I heard a manatee. But I got to swim in that in a very fun outfit, which I guess we'll show later. But I got to do really cool things at the zoo that made me fall in love with it even more. And it was one of those things where I said, "Look, I love this place so much. It's changed so much. If you haven't been in a long time, you need to go because." Especially right now, new year, new you. If you want to have fresh air, you want to have peaceful. Everything you guys are talking about is super serious and important for our city. But if you want to decompress, if you want to go someplace and just and relax, it's the most biodiverse 120 acres on the First Coast. The gardens part of the Jacksonville Zoo and Gardens is world class, and it is absolutely beautiful. I love one of the biggest criticisms some people have when they go there for the first time. It's like, I couldn't see the animals because of the plants. I'm like, well, that's a good thing. Because we have so many amazing plants and so much biodiversity there. And Colors of the Wild going on right now. If you love colorful lights, if you're one of those people who still has your holiday lights up, you need to go to the Jacksonville Zoo.
Yeah, still working on that myself. The fact that you have 3 children now, has that changed your appreciation of the zoo?
For sure. We have been members. We've been Heart of the Zoo Society members for about the last 5+ years. I have a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 2-month-old. They are growing up at the zoo, and my son goes to zoo school. I picked him up the other day in the zoo golf cart, so he felt like a rock star. But yeah, that has been amazing. My 3-year-old, no lie, 6 weeks ago, my 3-year-old directed me to the lorikeets. And I'm supposed to know where this stuff is. And my 3-year-old told me where to go feed the lorikeets.
Well, Curtis Dvorak, next time you come, we want you to bring animals.
Yes. We got plenty of room in here. I'll bring whatever you want.
Lemurs.
Lemurs?
All right. Thanks for being here.
No problem. But hey, get your memberships. This is a great deal. You buy 2.5 days of a membership, and that's what it costs, and you get 360 days for free.
Excellent.